You know, in Python, making a blueprint for something, say a car, that's the easy part. But how do you give each individual car that rolls off the assembly line its own unique license plate? Well, that's where the real power of instance methods comes in, and in this explainer, we are going to master them.
Let's think about it this way. Imagine a factory with just one single blueprint for a smartphone. In Python, we'd call that blueprint a class. It defines everything a smartphone can do. But the real magic, the interesting part, happens when that factory actually produces a phone. An individual object with its own unique phone number. That's what we need to tap into.
Okay, so to really appreciate the solution, we first have to understand the problem. And that problem is all about the limitations of your standard run-of-the-mill class methods.
Okay, check this out. On the left, we've got our smartphone class. The dial tone method in there, it can only see class-level stuff, like that beeps variable. But look at the right. We've made a unique phone, my phone, and given it its own phone number. And here's the catch. The dial tone method has no idea that my phone even exists. There's basically a wall between them. And that's really the bottom line here. Class methods are for the factory blueprint, not for the individual phones coming off the line. So that leads to the big question, right? How do we give our methods the power to work with data that's unique to each specific object?
And this is where Python has this really elegant solution. It's a special kind of method designed specifically to bridge that gap. So, let's meet instance methods. An instance method has a secret weapon, and its name is self. Now, it's not some magic keyword, but it's a super strong convention. Just think of self as a special key that every single instance method automatically gets. And this key unlocks all the data that's unique to the one object calling the method.
So how does this self key actually work? Well, take a look at the code here. The about method has self as its first parameter. But notice when we call myPhoneAbout, we don't actually pass anything in. Why? Because Python does it for us, behind the scenes. It secretly passes the myPhone object itself into that self parameter, which gives the method a direct line to that phone's unique data, like self.phoneNumber. Pretty cool, huh?
All right, let's keep going, because that self parameter, it's way more powerful than you might think at first glance. It's not just for one type of data, it's more like a gateway to everything a method could possibly need to get its job done.
So from inside just one of these instance methods, you can tap into 3 different kinds of information. You've got your instance variables, like one phone's specific number, using self. You can still grab class variables, like a setting shared by all phones, using the class name. And you can work with brand new data you pass in, like the phone number you want to call right now. And this slide just shows it all working together perfectly. Inside that dial method, look closely, we use self.phoneNumber to get the unique number for this specific phone. We use smartphone.retries to get that setting that all the phones share, and we use target, which is the new piece of data we passed in directly. It's the perfect combination of all 3.
Okay, so we've got all this incredible power. But you know what they say, with great power comes, well, risk. What happens if we make one of our objects, but we completely forget to give it the essential data it needs to work?
Yeah, exactly. Just think about it. What happens if you try to use that dial method we just saw, but on a phone that doesn't even have a phone number set? You're basically asking it to dial out from a number that just doesn't exist. That's not going to end well.
Well, it's going to crash. Simple as that. The program is just going to fall over because it tries to find self.phoneNumber and comes up with nothing. It was never created. This is a super common bug, and it's why professional Python code always has a crucial safety net.
And that safety net is a very special method called _init. That's with 2 underscores before and after. We often call it a constructor. And its one and only job is to run automatically, just once, the absolute second a new object is created, to make sure it gets all the essential data it needs right from the very start.
It's this really simple, automatic 3-step dance that happens every time. First, your code asks for a new object and gives it the data it needs. Second, Python jumps in and automatically calls __init for you. And finally, _init takes that data and sets up the object, guaranteeing that it is born ready to go.
Now look at this revised code. Everything changes because we've added __init. This change means you literally cannot create a smartphone without giving it a number anymore. That line, self.phoneNumber equals number, guarantees the data is set from day one. So now when we call dial, we know with 100% certainty that self.phoneNumber is going to be there.
And you know what? Python itself has your back on this.
If you try to create a smartphone without the number, your program won't even run. Python will stop you in your tracks with this super clear and helpful error message telling you exactly what you forgot to do. It's fantastic.
All right, that was a lot, but it's such a core concept in Python. Let's do a quick recap of the most important takeaways from this explainer.
Just remember these 4 things. Class methods, they're for the factory blueprint. Instance methods, they're for the unique device in your hand. That self parameter is the magic key that connects a method to its object. And finally, __init is your safety guarantee, making sure every single object is built right every single time.
So you've moved way beyond just designing blueprints. You now have the tools to create countless unique, functional, and really solid objects, each with its own personal data and behaviors. The power to model really complex systems is literally at your fingertips. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?